Our chief meteorologist, Chris Holcomb, is going to kick things off. So what's the timeline here, Chris? What can you tell us, sir?
It's still looking like that switchover is going to be taking place during the evening hours tonight, late night, overnight into Monday. That is the window of opportunity when we're going to be seeing most of that freezing rain that is going to be moving through. Right now in Atlanta, we have just clouds around. We're well above freezing. We have temperatures right now in the mid-40s. So we're just waiting for those temperatures to fall later on beginning this afternoon through the evening hours, and then the moisture is going to move in, colliding with that cold air. So we're dry here in Atlanta, even though we have the clouds around and the mild air. We do have a little bit of moisture here up to the north of us, and that is trying to come down in the form of maybe a little bit of a mix right now. I just checked the temperature up in Clayton, Georgia. It is 32 degrees now up in Clayton, but we have more of this moisture. Here you can see here, just showing up a little bit of pink, not all of that making it to the ground. Earlier, when we saw this coming through Dahlonega, I was showing you the live camera that we have up at the University of North Georgia, and it wasn't really making it to the ground there at that point. So this that you see over here in Habersham County, maybe a little bit of mixing coming in here, there now, but really that's moving out. So we're just going to see more moisture that's going to be coming in later. At the same time, this cold air is going to be draining in from the northeast, and that's the wedge that's just going to clash with all that moisture that's pushing into our area later on today. Look at all the winter alerts we have from Maine to New Mexico here. Winter storm warnings as well as ice storm warnings, and the ice storm warning is over North Georgia, Metro Atlanta, and down into Henry and Clayton County there, roughly along I-20 northward, except for Clayton and Henry there is on the south side. And then we have a winter weather advisory for these counties on the south side. A few more of those have been added to that, like Pike, Lamar County, also Monroe County, Jones County near Macon. Putnam County is in a winter weather advisory, as well as Jasper County as well. But we have the ice storm warning from Atlanta northward, and the conditions are going to be worse up in parts of northeast Georgia, where that wedge is going to be holding on longer, and it is going to be stronger. And that's where we're going to see the major impacts in northeast Georgia from this ice storm, with thick ice about a ½ inch or greater building up on trees and power lines. Moderate impacts here from I-20 through Metro Atlanta up to northwest Georgia. We're going to have some icing impacts here as well, and some power outages, but just not as much as they're having up in northeast Georgia. And then minor impacts here on the south side. So this is what I'm talking about in the major category: a ½ inch plus thickness of ice building up on trees, power lines, and on the surfaces. About a ¼ inch to a ½ inch in Metro Atlanta on the east side of northwest Georgia, and then a glazing to maybe up to a ¼ inch down to the south of us. Here is that live view that we have right now at the University of North Georgia. You see there that road right there that's leading into the campus area of University of North Georgia. It is still dry. We don't see anything actively falling right now. Temperatures, very important today. We're warm, 46 degrees right now. We're waiting, though, for the cold air coming from this direction. It is 32 in Clayton, and that's the wedge. That's the colder air that's going to be sliding down into our area, while at the same time, the moisture is going to be pushing in. I'll show you this forecast track coming up in just a little bit, but I want to get to Danielle right now. You're able to kind of pinpoint even more some of those impacts for that area that's going to be most hard hit there in northeast Georgia.
Exactly. We are looking at our winter storm severity index, Chris. This is the perfect map for this kind of a system. The Storm Prediction Center, they have this. This is kind of comparative to when we talk about a level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 during severe weather. This is for winter weather. So purple is the highest. So you can see there's a few sprinkles of purple throughout North Georgia. Red is that second, that major impacts category. And then you have your orange, and then it starts to get to yellow and a light blue. Now, as we zoom in just a little bit, the one thing that is very evident is in northeast Georgia, unfortunately, definitely going to be seeing some major impacts here. We're talking about maybe collecting, like Chris said, over a ½ inch of ice, maybe around 3/4 of an inch. And then if we get even closer into like White County, you start to see those little splotches of purple. That lets you know that is where we are seeing that highest risk for winter storm. And it's really just talking about ice accumulations only. So this is definitely a very impactful storm. And as we sink from Roswell all the way down to Lawrenceville, you start to see it change from that red to orange. But this is very important here. Don't just think northeast Georgia, you're thinking Gainesville. It comes all the way down into Roswell, Johns Creek Parkway, maybe even getting some really major impacts. This is going to have huge and lasting impacts on our roadways. And it's going to be very important to note as well. Even here in metro Atlanta, far up as Smyrna and Cobb County, maybe even a quarter of an inch to half of an inch. And then this is new information. Yesterday's winter storm severity index really had Peachtree City in that yellow color, which is a little bit less than that orange, but we are definitely seeing some really major impacts from this storm system. And it has not arrived just yet, Chris, but we are talking anywhere from a tenth of an inch to maybe even 3/4 of an inch. Definitely going to be seeing some major impacts, at least on the roadways and those power lines.
And that's going to be slippery, and it's going to cause a lot of power outages out there too. So here's the timeline of what we're watching here with our forecast track. This takes us to tonight at 9 o'clock. Rain coming in from the west as the cooler air starts moving in from the northeast. 33 in Duluth at 9, 36 still in Atlanta, but this freezing temperature is going to be pushing our way here, getting into the evening hours tonight. 30 degrees we're thinking at midnight tonight, and then 32 down into parts of Peachtree City. So this pink that you see there is all freezing rain here around late tonight, midnight, also around 3 o'clock in the morning, still freezing rain. The moisture kind of trying to taper off a little bit early tomorrow morning, but temperatures are still below freezing, so it's going to be slick here tomorrow morning. And then the big question is, once we get to 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, will these temperatures go up above freezing and it's able to scour out that wedge before this next band of rain and even heavy rain comes in? We're thinking if that comes in with the warmer air, it'll be just that, rain with temperatures above freezing, and that'll help to kind of curtail any additional buildup of ice and maybe even work away at some of that ice that's on the ground. But even if we get some improvements tomorrow afternoon, whatever is left on the ground Sunday is going to be frozen again by Monday morning. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit.